What's up, my XRP brothers from another mother and my cute XRP sisters? This is Rob with the Rob 007 channel coming to you from a beautiful Venice Island. Absolutely gorgeous day down at the beach, 5 out of 5. And the title of this episode is Watch This Episode Till the End. I'll make you want to buy 10, just 10 more XRP. Got a great one for you guys today, despite all. So yeah, I'll make you want to buy 10 XRP. We'll see. Comment down below if indeed I do. Thank you as always. We're over now 5,000 subscribers. Now looking at the next run of 6,000 subscribers. Views are doing fantastic on the channel. Appreciate each and every one as we build back better. So indeed, if you are new to this channel, if you would hit the subscribe button to subscribe, the bell for notifications, that like button. Tap it, slap it, whatever you are feeling for a Monday, for a market that's just ugly, I tell you. And grateful as always to have XRP 007 that channel for 2 years, which we hit the height of 31,000 subs. You guys will always know me as XRP 007. And I actually think that with a little elbow grease, we can get back to 31,000 by the end of the year. That's my goal anyway. So we can start the new year looking at 32K. And a disclaimer, I'm not a financial advice, and this channel is purely for entertainment and educational purposes only. And also from a few of our fine sponsors. Check out iTrust. I love iTrust. They've moved up into my top pole position as where I like to custody my XRP. Here are the top 2 reasons. One is they have no custody fees. Cannot begin to tell you how huge that is. And the second one is their trading fees are like second to none. They're only 1% of your transaction when you execute a trade. Unbelievable. Nobody does that. So yeah, and at the moment when you sign up for an account with the link in the description, they give you a Ben Franklin as a bonus. Yes, that's $100 for a signing bonus. Ain't too shabby. And also don't forget about Caleb and Brown. They are my #1 choice when it comes to executing the trade during the banana zone, which we will be sooner than later. Hang in there, everybody. So yeah, so when the exchanges go bonkers and nuts and they're halting and so forth, you can know that you can in advance get your trades, know your exit target. The link is in the description. Tell them Rob sent you. And also, last but not least, my #1 exchange to trade on to execute a really tight change. I'm talking super tight. Kraken. Love the folks at Kraken. Their U.S. base, have a Wyoming banking license out in San Francisco. They give you $75 when you open up an account. And you fund it and trade $200. So it's like an instant 40% return. Kind of like that. In the comments, Utility Decoded up on X. Thanks for the follow. And I follow him back, by the way. He says, hope your vacation was fun. He said, sucked here without you. I appreciate it, my friend. Yeah, it was kind of surreal. Actually today, and I woke up and I thought, I'm just going to go out. I'm just going to go another week and come back and see what the price is. Currently, Bitcoin is at, do I really care? No, I don't. XRP at the time I wrote this yesterday was $2.99. It lost that when it did not close above $3 last night and did it in a stylish fashion all the way down to $2.70, which Brewmaster Brent happened to unfortunately notice during the middle of the night, and he decided to check the price on XRP. But it was $2.99 yesterday. I think it now sits about $2.86, give or change. Yeah, all work, no play makes Bond a dull boy. Yeah, a lot of fun being out, you know, the places I went, Miami, Cozumel, and Bahamas. Got rained out bad in Cozumel. It was like it just never got to check it out. So that means I just get to do it second time around. Interesting week that I had while I was gone. And, you know, I had anticipations of where I thought, you know what, my phone's going to blow up while we're on. Well, I'm out and traveling, but it never did. And actually, I thought I got 2 big events I'm looking forward to. I had such high hopes for them. Yeah, the one event was obviously anticipating the interest rate cuts. I was certainly hoping, I kind of just felt like we were going to get 50 basis points. And no, we actually got a palsy, measly, pathetic quarter basis point, which is like really giving Trump the middle finger, if you ask me. A lot of people said that he caved into Trump and rate cuts. No, I think he gave him the index finger. And the other one, what I was anticipating, of course, was the launch of the REX spot ETF, which is a smaller one. But how did XRP respond? Yeah, it's decided, yeah, I'll go back to $3. Thank you very much. And then lost 3 and then went all the way down to 270. Jerome Powell, by the way, he's I didn't want to talk about the man, but he's going to be speaking tomorrow. That REX spot ETF, it was not stellar, no pun intended. But you know what? The first day performance was actually up through the roof in terms of it did not move the price. That's the part that was non-stellar when it comes to the price of XRP. But if you look at the performance, it was the number one ETF for inflows that's ever been out there. I'll have to double check on that. That was way buried in my notes, but I'm pretty sure it was just like a game changer. So that's just a little preview of what's to come. And just remember, price is just noise. Yeah, and it's also just painful. Again, yeah, it was painful right around the beginning of the month. And then here we are just only about 10 days away from the end of the month, and it's painful once again. So yeah, you know, just when you thought $3 was the floor, we get another rug pull. Wrecked Fencer up on X says it was actually the biggest liquidation cascade ever. $1 billion of longs were liquidated. Yeah, it wasn't just XRP, it was across the board. A lot of other tokens were even down at much larger percentages, such as 7% and so forth. So it just really took a shellacking. Poolside Chad, he brings a little kind of levity and perspective for this space. He says, late night fun before we run. I like how he thinks, though. And for a little TA down by the beaches from Crypto Bull, shout out to you, Crypto Bull. He says $5 by the end of September. No, he says $5 by the end of October. You're really going out on a limb there, Crypto Bull. No, that does not rock my boat, which would kind of suck if it plays out that way. That means to start the month of October, probably looking somewhere at $3 or minus $3. That is just not cool. I'm just not happy with that at all. That is a ouch when I just thought I'd have all my ouches away. I thought it would be at least knocking it. At least, actually, when I got back, I thought bare minimum we'd be at $3.30 bare minimum, and somewhere between there and $3.60. None of that happened. So anyway, so we'll see how we can still end the month. We still have 10 days. A lot can happen in 10 days. And then Glenn Beck, by the way, this is really kind of interesting because you got a lot of stuff that goes on up on Capitol Hill with insider trading, and it also happens with the big boys, the large institutions. Glenn Beck, this was probably about a year ago, talking about on September 12th, Jamie Dimon was telling everybody that you could not buy, that Bitcoin was a fraud. And if anybody traded it or owned it in his company, JP Morgan, he would fire them. And guess what? That weekend, after he said that on the 12th, that weekend, Bitcoin dropped 24% that weekend. And you know the largest buyer of the Bitcoin fund that was over in Europe? JP Morgan. Nah, nothing nefarious and criminal about that. XRP liquidity says 1.9 billion of XRP is all that is left on exchanges. Let that sink in. So it's kind of weird because here we are sitting at a sub $3 XRP, and this is my mindset, is that a supply shock is imminent, and they just don't really coincide together, that you got this sub $3, all the while, you know, it's just any day that we're going to probably happen when you least expect it, we're going to have a supply shock. I anticipate probably when it starts to happen is, you know, we got a couple of shoes to drop, but obviously the ETFs will like spin it out of control. And the biggest thing too is before that happens is that we have the Clarity Act that is passed and signed into law. So I think there's a push still to have it happen by the end of September. They're running out of runway on that one. But anyway, so we'll see what happens. And that's crazy. Did you know 1.9 billion? And you're only talking about just a speck in the 100 billion of XRP in total that's out there. Tracer up on X says Powell to deliver a big speech tomorrow. That is Jerome Powell with the Fed. And for me, I'll chime in. Expect Powell to tank the markets again. Yes. And once again, give Trump the big middle index finger. So yeah, buckle up. It's going to get ugly tomorrow. And also Kenny Wynn, he just said, he just panicked, bought. He said he bought 589 XRP. Good on you, mate. Anyway, that's a lot of fun. I like that. I panicked and I bought 589. That's really exciting. That's fun. Paul Barron says, a reminder that the crash began on October 24th of 1929. Everybody always thinks that of the October 29th crash, but he said it actually began about 5 days earlier on a Thursday. It's called Black Thursday. Culminated on October 29th. That was called Black Tuesday. So Just saying, September 30th, we do have something to look forward to before this month is out. And then there are the things we don't know that could happen before the month is out. Just keep in mind now that we have clarity, we could get more NDAs dropping any given day. And don't forget, there's supposed to be something that's announced tomorrow. I think I'm about to get into that if I haven't said that. But September 30th, that is next Tuesday, Fed ends paper checks as we move to a paperless one. For faster payments, will they be using XRP? Let's stick this one up there and see if the needle moves on October 1st. Gordon on X says, rumors and in the rumor mill that tomorrow a massive news is coming out from the White House concerning crypto. What could that entail? We'll be watching that like a hawk. And yeah, it wouldn't surprise me a bit that they tank the markets on Monday, send it pumping on Tuesday with some incredible news. So, yeah, and what can I glean from the past, from this past week as I get into the best for last? Well, one is that the XRP suppression continues as it gives time for the banks to continue to accumulate. I believe that's 100% accurate, not financial advice. And also, it leaves me absolutely more determined not to sell until a couple of things happen. That is the utility, until that we get the Clarity Act not only signed, that it passed, signed into law. More importantly, the effective date that it begins. That's the date you want to be looking at. And I suspect it will happen before November 22nd, which is the ISO 222. All banks on board by that date for the new messaging standard. Third is, I believe, the supply shock. I know it happened in number 2, but third is, I believe that the supply shock is absolutely inevitable. And actually, that will be due to the XRP spot ETFs. Keep in mind, we got upwards of a total of 20 filed, somewhere around there. So that institutional adoption, the financial titans at the gate. And then when you combine that, when you talk about 401ks, and there's a massive amount in 401ks that will be opened up to crypto, in particular XRP, add that to the ETFs and all these big boys just really biting at the bit to get after and get those customers and be first in line. So yeah, there's your supply shock. So expect that's October 18th, we start to get a lot of those approvals. So how long will it take for them to season? Actually, I kind of just keep in my mind that, what it may take for it to start to take root. Could happen really quick. It may take a couple of months into Q4, maybe even a Q1. So I'm going to keep my eyes on these dates headed forward still. October 18th through the 25th, that's when we're going to get a lot of those XRP ETF approvals. I think there's only about 1 or 2 left in November, and then there's only 1 left in December. So all those to more than likely all get approved. And also it gives, if it takes a little maturation time on this, maybe Q1 was actually, markets traditionally like to, historically can be pumped. So we'll see what happens there. And just for, again, I'll mention this is not financial advice. Everybody's in a different place in space and time, where you are, how much have you accumulated, your age, so forth, the cost of living, yada, yada. But for me, for some people, they'll be looking, their magic number is $7 or $8 or even $5. Others that it's $100 or $1,000 before they'll even sell. My magic number is a $20 Jackson XRP. That's only less than a 7x from here. And the reason why I have it at $20, so what basically for me is it gives me coasting money that I can just coast. So when I'm scaling out, if I'm having to pay for tuition or something like that, scaling out with a $20 XRP is just divine, as I wait patiently for those 3, 4, and yes, 5-digit XRP, a 108,000, and yes, a $10,000 XRP. But I'll add one more kind of up on the chalkboard, where you just start to kind of, once you've been in this space for so long, then it becomes clear and evident that, I absolutely believe a 6-digit $100,000 XRP will happen. And as for the time frame, let's just say if it happens, 10 years from now, and I don't want to think about 10 years from now, quite frankly, but just to put it in perspective, while I'll buy 10 XRP on this afternoon, which will cost me what? That's basically less than $30, $28 for just 10. Why? Because if it's a 6-digit XRP, a $100,000 XRP, you have $1 million from a $28 investment on this day, only 10 years to mature to reach that. Unbelievable. So go buy you $10 XRP worth. Get 10 more today. Not financial advice. And last is the Ripple. A couple of things that for that Rocktoberfest that we're about to go through, it's going to be insane. It's going to be a trifecta of 3 massive events. I think they will all move the needle. 1, clarity being passed, signed into law by the end of the month, latest end of October. And 2, those ETFs starting to just like knock them down, fill them up, knock them back, line them up. For between the 18th and 25th, there's like a good solid half dozen of those. Look for all those to be approval, and for that we start in earnest to start to see that supply shock beginning to happen. And number 3, the announcement of a Ripple National Trust Bank getting their license and Fed master account. If that happens, I mean, oh snap is an understatement. That will rock the financial world to its core when that happens. So that will be one of the bigger events, probably one of these best day ever. So I got to get another keychain, get ready to kind of to engrave for that date. So, and now my countdown clocks as they remain now pretty exciting because I've been in this space for a better part of 5 years now. I'm only 60 days away roughly from November 22nd, that ISO 222 date that all banks should be on board, and also my price prediction of a $20 XRP in about 60 days. We're going to see how this season that's going to go up there. And secondly, my price prediction of a 103-digit XRP, $100 XRP by the end of the year, which now sits at only exactly 100 days from today is the end of the year. A lot of fun. So it's like a good time to kind of like start your planning right now for that. And again, I up the ante. If you don't know that I up the ante from $100 to $200 based on, and this is purely based only on ETFs and a supply shock, and that extra 100 that moves it up to 200, that'd be called the real USD and their line of credit for the IPO market. There you have it, at $200, but keep your eye on the prize, everybody. October's going to be a Rocktober. We're almost done with September. November 22nd, ISO 202 is going to be great. Expect a $200 in about 60 days. End of year, $100 to $200 XRP on ETFs and RLUSD. But if we get that flip of the switch to happen, whether it's November 22nd, before or after, and if we say hello to a $500 or a 4-digit $1,000 XRP, you're going to know the drill. We're all going to need a bigger boat. See you guys in the next episode. Peace out.